Hi, my name is Chris White. I'm a Visual Effects Supervisor, and I can talk a little bit about my journey and how I got through into the career. So a little bit of my background. I grew up in Dale City, Virginia. At the time, I was studying a little bit of art, a little bit of computer science, and it was through a program at George Washington University in high school that I was introduced to computer graphics. This was kind of the early days of rigid body dynamics, different things that were just being invented. And at that point, I knew like, this is what I want to do. There's something about seeing those images and seeing that this thing came out of the computer that I was immediately like, okay, that's where I want to go. Went on to Syracuse University where I studied computer art, mix of computer science, under the School of Visual and Performing Arts. Then went on to University of Illinois in Chicago where I was doing virtual reality work. Also kind of a similar thing, like at that time I had gotten into the idea of particle systems and procedural effects. Like I thought it was really interesting that you could put these rules into a computer and then something different might come out of it. So that kind of motivated me. And through 3 or 4 tries, I eventually got this internship at Industrial Light and Magic. And the way I was introduced to it was one of their CG supervisors came to our school at Syracuse and talked about it. And that said, oh, maybe I can actually use this to go into visual effects. After many tries, eventually got it. And it happened to be at the perfect time because they had got the movie Twister. And I had been working on these particle effects and all the things in my portfolio was perfect at that time for that film. And being a great internship there, they had me immediately writing code, working on this artist interface for building digital tornadoes. I had a very long commute at the time, so I didn't have a car. So hours and hours sitting on the train, reading, studying, and then ended up, working on that film, which is kind of a classic film for some of the first big particle effects. 7 years, close to 8 years at ILM, worked my way up, worked on different films like Jurassic Park 2, Star Wars prequels, Mars Attacks, Men in Black, different films like that. A lot of fun there. And then I went back to Chicago for a year. And then during that time, I saw the work that was happening in New Zealand on Lord of the Rings and thought that was pretty inspiring. So that brought me down here to work on Lord of the Rings, Return to King Kong, Avatar, lots of different films, Umbrella Academy. So I've been here ever since and now working as a visual effects supervisor, working on multiple projects throughout the years. And most recent work is working on some of the Avatar sequels, recently Umbrella Academy, different projects such as that. I think it's learning new things. It's the one thing about visual effects is that we have so many different problems to solve. And I like problem solving, so, to solve these problems, you really, as you know, you have to really dig deep into learning what these things are. So if you're doing a project that takes place in a jungle, you learn about the plants, how do they grow, how does the light react to them, how do they move, so with each project, there's something new that I get to learn. So I don't feel like I'm stuck doing the same thing. And it requires pretty deep research. We work with different experts in their field. It could be simulations, you name it. So I think that's what inspires me is having something new that I have to kind of bend my brain to get around that I may not have grown up learning about. I would say travel more, have more fun, maybe even telling the older Chris the same thing. That not only does that enrich your life, but it also the things that you might lean on the most in your work and in your artwork will be the things sometimes outside the studio and away from the computer. It's the things that you did when we walked around those ruins in Indonesia. Those are the things that you draw your inspiration from. So from the younger self, that's what I'd say is that those things out in the world, you'll be surprised how much you'll bring them into your own work. It's just a matter of tuning off, trying as much as you can to tune off afterwards. I have a friend who recently, I was talking to him yesterday about it, who bought a house that's slightly further away from where he's working, but he has a beautiful commute down the water here in New Zealand to get there. And I said, and you know what, in some ways that's great, because that little bit of time of just cutting off and seeing the beautiful landscape could be a way of unwinding. I part of that is for me, like I have a beautiful view right now, trying to take that in. Sometimes I just play some video games just to do something different. And then the biggest thing I think over the years that I've developed to help, at least with my day, is that time is an important thing to try to manage. You always have these demands pulling you back and forth. So I've actually invested a lot of things recently to help structure my day, so I know what's going on. So I think time has a big part of it, and then also like spaces that you're in can really affect how you feel during the day. Like your office should feel a certain way, it should be organized a certain way. Just that those two things can really have a big effect on your mental space. And if you can, just say, I need to take these 5 minutes here, and I need to have this little break. Let your mind get a chance to catch up. So time and space is the big thing I've been trying to work on.